All platforms are running now. We good. We live on everything. All right. So, SPY fighting that support level I got at 398.15. It's holding that pretty well. And then you got I found a new indicator I want to test out today. I want to see how it works. I gotta see how it plans out. It's called the overbought, oversold indicator. You use that? Right, that's what I want to use it for. So I'm using the overbought, oversold indicator. Then I got my pivot ribbon indicator with the MACD, and then I'm using the volume indicator, the up down volume. So combination of those three things, if they all start pointing in a similar direction, that almost confirms a guaranteed takeoff. So I just want to try out this overbought, oversold indicator and see how it pans out. It looks like I don't know if y'all. Oh, that's right. Y'all not hold on, let me put this. Let me share the YouTube. Tweet out. Let me share this via Twitter. What's Bitcoin doing right now? Bitcoin's still on the move. I see the VIX pushing down. VIX is below. Oh shit, VIX is almost about to go below 20 again. That's a great sign. VIX has been dropping. VIX was at 25 just, was it 2 days ago? VIX was flirting with 25. And it was sitting there heavy. Now it's about to drop below 20. So we're in the bullish signs. Every sign is pointing pretty bullish right now. The yields, let me see. The bond yields, let me see where they're at right now. The 10-year, let me order this. Hold on, I'll tell you right now. The 2-year bond is on, let me look at the daily chart for these. The 2-year bond is still pretty strong at 4.2%. The 10-year bond is at 3.6, and the 30-year is at 3.7. All of them have dropped from that crazy peak they had on like March 2nd. All the bond rates peaked out around like March 2nd. That's when the bonds, you could have got a 2-year bond, you could have got 6 months bonds for like 5% return for a day. So that dropped out. But it's still pretty high comparatively to where it was at before. So we haven't been below 4% in the 2-year. We haven't been below 4% since September. Last time the 2-year was below 4%. Because that October right after that is when we had that crazy dip in the market and bonds took off from under 4% to over 4%. So that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Gee, you buy any more IIPR, man? How you feeling about $78, man? $71.15 is my bottom line price for it. $71.15 for IIPR, cannabis REIT. If it gets down to $71.15, man, I gotta start going crazy. I gotta start trying to add bulk orders of like 10 shares. Because man, these prices, you're not gonna find these again. All right. Oh shit. So if somebody was telling you that you could help me out, give me some money to help me out, and all the debt that I have outstanding now, like 80% of it, the government's going to take care of that for me. So you're pretty much almost guaranteed your money back as someone who's loaning the money. You're almost guaranteed your money back from the government if you're lending the money. You know, it's almost good as a government bond. So I just wondered what the interest rates that they're lending them to, or if they're lending them this money at like zero interest. That would be crazy. That would be a real saving hand. If they just lending the money at zero interest, then that's really I'm just trying to help you. But if they're lending this money out to these smaller banks that come in with interest that's gonna be paid back to the bigger banks, then it's just business. They're not really trying to help. They're just doing business. It very much is. Yeah, you should allow banks to fail. Banks should be allowed to fail. Mm. I think that when they do that, as far as saving the banks, like you said, it gives more of a communist feel to our country, and it's like communism operates only at the top realm of our country, where people who have that level of income or institutions and institutions and companies that we have heavy dependence on have some kind of immunity from capitalism in our country. You think Apple's one of those companies? Do you think Apple is a company that they consider, you know, see some of these banks they say they're too big to fail? Is Apple a company that's American company that's too big to fail? You think that if Apple was in paradox and in trouble and had some major concerns that there would be some kind of regulatory effect to step in and help them out? Right, that's what I'm saying. Like this is the system that we expect to operate in. Like, oh yeah, Microsoft probably never will fail because you know somebody will come in and save them if anything goes wrong or if things start to really crumble. It is. Well, we're not supposed to be. Ooh, look at the spy pushing up. Look at this candlestick right here. Okay, buy, sell, trend. I mean, overbought, oversold. We've been oversold for a little bit right now. We're in oversold territory still. We haven't gone into overbought on that indicator. Smart money is buying heavy right now. We're about to break 400. Time to check these contracts. Let's see what the contracts are at. I want to see how these mortgages continue to be impacted as well, the real estate market. Let me see some. Let me go down my price list here. I was looking at Tesla. We got this in alphabetical order, right? We can start from the top. First, let's look at the heat map. Let's see what the general market is reading at as right now. We got a solid bowl. This is a solid bowl right now. Some red, some green, some grays. Mostly grays though. Mostly like a lot of non-movers. Yeah, I see a lot of flatness happening in here. But let's see. Let's see some of the top news coming out. They're expected to report negative earnings, so they're at $38 right now. Yeah, I don't know enough about them to play their earnings. I don't know anything that's about to happen with them. So I ain't gonna mess with that. Um, Let me see. Any other interesting companies on the earnings list? Not that I see. Let's see if something comes out. Let's see tomorrow. Tomorrow, General Mills. Pretty dry earnings week, honestly. Yeah. Let's see what the TikTok guy's saying.
Congress later this week to share all that we're doing to protect Americans using the app and deliver on our mission to inspire creativity and to bring joy.
Creativity and joy. That was the CEO of TikTok, Shuzi Chu, set to testify before a House committee tomorrow as critics are calling for the U.S. to ban the Chinese-owned app entirely here on our shores. Our next guest wants the general counsel of the NSA calls a ban bad policy and precedent. Joining us now is Center for Strategic and International Studies Senior Advisor.
When you start banning things, you walk in a sticky line.
Why bad policy?
Because, you can start...
People
can start making claims on certain other websites like, oh, this needs to be banned and this needs to be banned, and then that's it.
America
you said president.
And domestically, it sets us on a slippery slope to some wrong policy decisions. I completely agree that banning TikTok from government-owned phones makes perfectly good sense. There's a risk there. We don't want our military or members of Congress or diplomats having their user data siphoned off to the Communist Party in China. That makes perfect sense. But the general app, the general public using this app, a teenager somewhere doing dance moves, I don't see what the strategic value is to China of obtaining that information. That case hasn't been made. There is a national security risk about disinformation. I appreciate that. But a full ban doesn't, to me, isn't really justified. It hurts us internationally. China is the one that bans apps, YouTube, Facebook, New York Times, you name it. That's not something that America does. We want to look open and free.
We're America. We don't ban things.
It's what we can manage. There are First Amendment questions. There's lots of legal questions. And most importantly, there are other solutions we can employ that would be less dramatic and still be very effective.
Somehow the critics in Congress, though, would seem to believe, and this is at least what I'm inferring based on their statements, that there's nothing you can do that won't stop the Chinese in some way from figuring out a way to use this app, regardless of whether it's sold, whether its servers are all here in the United States. They will still find a way to spy on U.S. citizens. Does that argument make sense to you?
Well, it does, but like most things in Washington, there's sort of a kernel of truth wrapped around which is wrapped a lot of politics. Look, we all know we face not only a significant adversary in the form of China. They definitely have a well-honed surveillance system. They engage in cyber theft of information from us and from trade secrets. Push disinformation, and they're going to continue doing that regardless of whether there's anything.
China been spying on us forever.
But if we have a way of limiting China's
this is not new.
Going ahead with a deal approved by the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, an organization part of the U.S. government that is looking at how to mitigate this risk, we can bring that risk down in the case of the general public to very manageable levels. And I would then submit we have many other things to worry about China. For example, how they're picking off and stealing scientists from our universities and otherwise engaging in industrial espionage. I think we got other things to worry about once we can bring.
Yes, that's what I need to worry about. Them stealing all our engineers and bringing them over there to create things. That should be the concern. All right. Alibaba. Look at Alibaba pushing. Yeah, hold on. Let's look at the daily, because sometimes the 15 minutes can be a little deceiving. But the daily and the weekly, not gonna lie. So we had a nice little pullback. They definitely found support. 79, 78, 92 is a strong level for them. Once they broke above that level, they took off. Got it back up to 112, 120 at one point. 120, heavy resistance. I'll put another level in up there. Let's see. Gotta have at least 3-4 touches on the line. So right there, bring it down a little bit. Right around there. That's a you better sell level. Too much momentum. So at 85, you can ride this from 85 to about 102. That's a nice gain right there. 85 to 102, that's a good percentage gain. It's like 20%. What happened, bro? I'm looking at Alibaba. Yeah. I think Alibaba could be in for a recovery at some point. Heavy recovery. The only issue with Alibaba is that you don't know when you can have some government interference. You know, like they kidnapping CEOs and all kind of shit out there in China, man. You gotta be careful what company you invest in overseas. You think your company's solid, then your CEO turn up missing. You like, what happened? Yeah, nah, your CEO's just missing, bro. They had to pull him in for that talk. Let me go down. Let's see. Let's keep going. Let's keep the people happy. Bank of America. If you're holding Bank of America, it's one of the solid financial institutions of our country. I'm really not into buying companies at all-time lows, but Bank of America could hold above 26.32, then I think we're in good shape. Really? I ain't barking at nothing. So Bank of America at 26.32. And you could play it as a pity play off of the banking industries and everything going on there. If the infection gets so bad, the contagion gets so bad that Bank of America is in trouble and getting threatened, then this problem is really deep. It's gotten much deeper than we wanted it to get at that point. That means big banks are definitely about to start going down if Bank of America is about to fail. And I don't think the government would allow that. So, with that being known, and not treating it like a normal company, if it gets down to 26.32, that's the good buying range. Between 26.32 and $23 is like you could load up on Bank of America. Yeah. It's at $28. It's below 30. I know Bank of America was holding above 30 for a good time. So right now it's at 28. 28 is a decent buy area, but we can still push down further. So I would say wait it out a little bit. You may be able to catch it at that 26 to 23 range. But if it starts to push back up, if it pushes back up and shows that it's going to hold above 30.48, which is a crucial support level, if it can hold above that level for a couple days, then it'll be comfortable to jump back in there and ride it back up and not have to worry about a breakdown again. Bank of America has earnings coming up on the April 18th. So in about a month, they have earnings coming up. SPY is going to find support is 398.15. I think we're going to range in here for a little bit. It's not going to give us 400, maybe 400. If it breaks above 400, I'm shedding the calls I have, and I'll get back in on a pullback. But I want to see us get above 400. I think it's possible. Let's go back down through these stocks. How's that Bank of America? Let me go down through Baidu. I haven't really watched Baidu. Blink Charging. What do you think about the electric vehicle charging stations? How do you feel about that market? Do you think that game? I mean, I see Tesla's getting into. I mean, government is partnering up with Tesla to put their charging stations all around the country to make it, more feasible for people to actually own electric vehicles. Because that was the big thing. Like, where am I going to charge it if I'm not charging it at home? So they plan to put more stations around. Question is Tesla just the first person they're reaching out to, and they're going to start reaching out to more of these companies to give them contracts to guarantee them money to just input charges, or they do not trust anybody else's charges but Tesla? They charge you by the watts, so by like a certain amount of watts that your car takes to charge. So based on how much your car needs is how much you get charged. Bitcoin sitting still at 28. Bitcoin broke above a lot of levels. Yeah, Bitcoin is holding that level. It looks like SPY caught a sell signal on my overbought, oversold indicators. So let's see how accurate that indicator is. Because it's telling you to sell right now. But that's why you got to combine these indicators with other indicators, because the volume behind this push down is just so low. I'm not going to trust that this is a true push down. I think in total, all three candlesticks combined don't even equal 200,000 orders. No, it's neutral right now on the call. The call I have is neutral right now. If it goes below 398.15, I'll be down. But that's just okay. Reports they missed 3 times, but this last one they just beat on this last earnings report. They're up 47% this year, up 50% over the last 3 months. They got a strong buy from analysts, and they have a buy signal on technicals right now. So analysts and technicals are pointing towards buy, and analysts have a $7.57 price target for them. It might be time to re-enter on CleanSpark. I have some levels on them too. They broke my first level at 286. 313 is the next in 340. Hey, G, man, perfect timing, bro. I was just talking about CleanSpark, man. They on the comeback, man. I think they about to bounce back. I think they about to start taking off again, along with Bitcoin. That's what I'm saying, bro. CleanSpark is at $3 right now. They were at a couple of days ago. They were at $2.20. They had $3 now today. They got strong technical buy ratings, and analysts have strong buy ratings on it. They have a price target of $7.50 on it right now. I'm gonna dive a little deeper into. I just got excited off of that. I just excited. I I like clean storage.
Just say the word, baby, and I gotcha.
I think they reported last quarter they mined like 400 or 500 bitcoins. Let's look at. Huh? You said 97? Let's go through their financials real quick.
So old-fashioned and natural.
They have very little bit amount of shares. They don't have that many shares.
Falling for you.
That's what you gotta do. You gotta go through the numbers. You gotta look at the numbers sometimes, man. There. Yeah, the volume is so low. Watch these candlesticks turn this like 200K volume right as the Fed starts to speak. That's what I was looking at. What you say? I need to see quarter one 2021 comparatively. Okay, here we go. Their cash, so CleanSpark has spent a lot of cash, or have lost a lot of cash from investing activity. You know what I'm thinking? That cash from investing activities, that big L's they've been taking over the last couple of years was because of that decline in Bitcoin. But that's going to come back. That 200 million that CleanSpark is down right now. But the cash that they got from operating activities has increased drastically year over year. 2021 they had 16 million in cash from operating activities. In 2022 they have $202 million in cash from operating activity. That's a big jump. 1,000%. It's starting to wake up. CleanSpark is waking up. Let me look at the quarterly. On a quarterly basis, if you look at their year-over-year growth, so it says here, hold on. Oh, here we go. Changes in working capital. In quarter 3 of 2021, they had 253. Actually, no, I'm gonna look at this. Yeah, in quarter 3 of 2021, they had negative $3.29 million in cash from operating activities, and then they went up to $10 million in quarter 4 2021, then $16 million in quarter 1 of 2022, and from quarter 1 of 2022 this went from 16 million, and in quarter 1 of 2023 it's at 32 million right now. So it's almost double in cash from operating activities year over year in the same quarter. And they're making more cash from investing. Yeah, CleanSpark is getting stronger. Let's see their earnings. And I don't typically do any kind of like penny stock companies. You know me, I miss the blue chip. But CleanSpark, I got a little thing for CleanSpark. Yeah, I want to see their earnings turn positive again. At least the estimates. They don't have any positive estimates going all the way to quarter 1 2024. If they could report any kind of positive earnings report this year, that's when I'm going to jump into CleanSpark. Their next earnings report comes out in May 18th. The last earnings report was February 9th. They beat by 23%. But what I started to learn to look at is the adjustment in the earnings. So company was expected or had an estimate of positive earnings in the past. And then it turned into an estimate of negative earnings. And just because it beat the negative earnings doesn't make it a stronger company to me. It has to be growing from its past. So it has to have a higher EPS than it had at any point in the past. So if your earnings are coming in weaker and it's because of macro conditions, understandable. But if your earnings are coming in weaker and they're not able to recover back to where your EPS was at prior to the crazy pullback, then you're probably not going to be able to bounce back all the way. It'll probably be a false bounce. Because you got to get back in. If you're a positive cash flow or earning company at one point and now you're negative, you're not making money, just because you're not losing as much money anymore, but you're still negative, doesn't make me interested in investing. I got to see you turn positive cash flow again on earnings, and then I'll say, okay, now I'm ready to jump back in. Or I got to see a drastic jump from quarter to quarter as far as your year over year, as far as your earnings increase. So CleanSpark hasn't done that yet. Because if I look at the year over year, quarter 1, 20. So in quarter 1 of 2022, they reported earnings at 0.67, and the estimate was 0.38. So they beat earnings on that report. And now, looking at first quarter of this year, they reported earnings at negative 0.46, but their estimate was at negative 0.6. You see, so really they're still a weaker company than they were a year ago. They're just beating the estimate of this low-ass estimate that they got. So I really want to see them get back above where they were, at least in quarter 2 of 2022, which was, they reported at 0.19 earnings per share, 19 cents per share. So if they could at least get back up to 19 cents per share and get out of negatives, then I'll be comfortable jumping back in. Where we at with the SPY right now? We still sitting around here, 399. Gee, I don't know if I tell you about this indicator I'm trying out right now, the overbought, oversold indicator. I'm trying to see how this works out. Yeah, it's literally called overbought, oversold indicator. Yeah, I think this is more of a tractor of momentum, similar to the pivot ribbon. It gives you an indication of, when momentum is picking up to a certain side. And then it could tell you when it's overextended in that direction, or if it's pulled back too far and it's due for a bounce. Like, I want to see how accurate this thing is, because right now it has a sell signal in on the 15-minute at least, but that's the 15-minute chart I'm looking at. On the hourly, it's still in a pretty strong buy trend. On the daily, we're just breaking into positive territory on the buy trend. But we're producing a high top and bottom wick for today, showing that we're in the range 399.74 to 398.15. I think that's where we're gonna be floating in. If we break into 400, like I said, I'm gonna shed my call, and then I look to re-enter after Powell finishes his speech. And that's the play of the day, y'all. I'm about to cut off the YouTube live stream right now. Hope I drop some gems for y'all. We learned something today, and look forward to y'all joining me again tomorrow for the results and see how today's trades turned out with the calls on SPY. Playing it real light. Don't want to play anything heavy into Fed FOMC decision, because you never know which way the market's going to flow. All right, see y'all tomorrow.